I sometimes read poetry, I cannot say that I'm a huge poetry fan. And that's because if I compare the number of poetry books that I read to the number of other books that I read in a year, I think the ratio is quite dismal. So let's just not talk about how little I read poetry books. Hey guys, I'm Sankalpita and you're watching Book Geeks India, which is a channel where I make book related videos. If you like books, if you love reading, make sure you subscribe to my channel, like and share my videos, turn that notification on. And guys, please do comment because you know it that I love it when you comment. This is probably the first video I'm wearing my specs. Like, I do have specs. I have specs since I was in college. And I'm always required to wear them whenever I'm working on my system or I'm reading. Apart from my vlogs, I've never ever actually made a video wearing my specs on. But I thought let's try something different, so I am wearing my specs in this video. I hope you don't mind. And now, because I've already ranted a lot, let's just get on with the topic of this video. So this video is going to be the review of this book, Making a Poem by Vihang A. Nayak. Now, this is a book which is quite different from other poetry books because in its very essence, the core theme of the book is actually poetry, a poet, and poems. So in this section, I tell you about what to expect, but I think it should be very clear by now that what you should be expecting from this book. So it's a collection of poetry on the theme of a poet, a poem, the process of poetry, and so on and so forth. So basically, it's a book of poems about poetry and poems. I think Making a Poem has a cover which is very officious looking, which is a very different one and a very powerful one. It has a very serious looking cover. This is the picture of the author which is on the front cover. And apart from that, the quality of the pages, the font style, the typesetting, everything is good. So the overall physical appeal of this book is really good. Almost every other poetry book, including Hindi shairis that I have read this year, talk about love, talk about friendship, talk about life, talk about various other things like existential crisis and so on and so forth. This is a book which has a topic, a theme, which is truly new to me, which is very different from what I usually read in poetry. Coming on to the content of this book. So this book is divided into 5 sections. Are you looking for that poet? A poet as a young man, making of a poem comes alive, and finally a poet. So basically what I like about this book is that it tells us, the reader, about what goes on in the process of creating a poem, how difficult it is to write a poem, how difficult it is to capture those thoughts and put them onto paper. Sometimes the author has to sit for hours altogether and nothing comes to his mind, whereas sometimes the author gets the entire poem in his thoughts and by the time he finds a paper to scribble it down, it is lost. So it's very tricky. The entire process of writing a poem is very, very tricky, and that's what is very nicely captured in the book. Talking about my personal favorites from this book. So there's this poem called A Poem, and what this poem tells you, it tells you about the creation of a poem, how the poem comes out and how it is created, but it does not do so by glorifying the process or by sugarcoating the entire experience. No, it does that in a very brazen and rough and blatant manner, and it's very, very straightforward and straight in your face kind of poem. Poetry is always about beautiful words and beautiful feelings and emotions, but this poem gives it a different twist, shows a different side of it, and that's something that I really enjoyed. So I think it's very difficult to rate a poetry book in terms of entertainment. For me, I like poetry when it appeals to me, when I'm able to learn something new from it, when I'm able to derive melody from it. So what I got to take away from this book is that what goes on in a poet's mind, how a poem is created, and that's something which I really enjoyed. So if that can be taken as a parameter for the entertainment quotient, I think this book was quite entertaining. I in the end gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So pick up this book if you enjoy poetry and if you're looking for a different kind of poetry collection to add to your library. Skip this book if you don't enjoy poetry, because in that case it doesn't make any sense for you to pick this book up. So that's it from me in this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And do let me know in the comments below if you have recently read any poetry collection and if you have any recommendations of a poetry book for me. And I will come back to you with another video pretty soon. Until then, bye.